How are you? How are you? What's going on? Wait, I have the wrong headset in my head. That's better. How's it going? Just quickly gonna announce that we are live, as always. What we're gonna have today, I want to finish this page here. This page needs to be finished, so we're gonna draw the top left of the page, and then maybe starting a new page, or maybe hopping into continuing with the sketchbook, depending on how I feel. Wait, let me just quickly post this thing here on Instagram. Live stream. Bam. Friday stream. Boop. There we go. How was your week? How was your week? Today I don't put on any music, so if you feel like putting in your own music for today, I wonder if I can put on the AC. I don't know if it's too loud for you guys, because it's relatively warm in here. I'm just gonna test it. I'm just gonna put it on, and you guys let me know if it's too loud. Maybe also reduce a little bit the noise of the microphone. I hope it's not too loud. If it's too loud, please let me know. Then I'm gonna sweat and die in peace. Hi. How are you? Really busy, returning to drawing this week. Nice. I have some ideas to make a horror strip. Okay, cool. That sounds cool. Do you want to spoil it? I'm here to stay motivated. That's good. That's good. Da, 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 da. Why is this so complicated? Get lost. So I have to open the portrait mode and the normal mode. Hey Biku Football, now I see your name. It's weird, I didn't saw your name in the streaming app. Do you think perspective and proportion is first priority as an artist? Absolutely. 100%. Perspective definitely, and the proportion in most cases, because depending on what it is that you want to draw, it's definitely gonna involve proper proportion. So maybe then it's observation, observation and figuring out how to manage proportions. That is definitely important. Okay, how do I do this with this? These two chats. Maybe like this. Should I learn about colors and shading later on? You should learn. I think it makes sense to learn shading while you already learn perspective and proportions. Absolutely. Because it's good to learn to communicate form and through tone and stuff. You know, that's really important. When it comes to colors, I think like people really underestimate how much time they actually should spend on values first before they actually go in. Can you guys hear the AC, or is it quiet enough? I can't make it quieter, unfortunately. Yes, you can hear it. Is it very loud? Maybe I can lower the microphone so it's more just taking my voice when I'm talking. It's not that loud? Okay. Yeah, sorry, I need to have it on because it's so warm. It's just warm in here. Okay, let's do some drawing. Maybe here in the top corner. Ba, 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 ba. I think that's good. Can you see this? Yeah. I have to focus. All this technical stuff. I just want to draw. Jesus. Okay. No worries, no worries. By my side. Wait, how loud is this actually? Is that okay? Should I put this louder here? Wait, how loud is this actually? Oh yeah, okay. It's okay. I can't read what you just typed in there. I just can read bro. That's the only thing. That sounds like an interesting idea. Hmm. I think my mod already blocked it. Did you translate it? Like, I don't know why people spamming stuff in their own language. Like, I can't read it. Like, doesn't make sense. I don't have the time to copy that and read that. Sorry for whoever was that. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'm just drawing girls right now. Just finishing the page. The person's still there. It's just practice. It's really practice. Practice all the time. That's a fascinating thing about human beings. It's kind of like if we do one thing every day for years, like it's just the promise of that we getting it good, you know? So I don't know. It's probably the time that somebody else spent their time in something else versus the person who tries to draw the stuff we think directly. My eyes are so tired today. Also kind of like over the past few days, it's insane. Just because of like being with the AC all day, it's always killing my eyes. I don't know why. Maybe the air is too dry or something. Yeah, consistency is the problem. Well, maybe it's the routine, you know, because consistency comes through the routine. And having positive habits and being aware of the things not to do. You know, there's this thing what they call the not to do list. It actually helps sometimes if you know that you have things that you're doing that are not good for you, like smoking, drinking, going late to bed and all that. So it actually works. It's kind of like a mental trick. Sorry, I'm gonna eat something because I already worked all day. Need some as of the day calories for my brain. I don't know if you can see how tired my eyes are. My eyes are completely red around. It's literally like, but also I have like 2 lights. You having lunch? Where are you located? Try it actually. It's just a protein bar with chocolate. I don't know why they make chocolate on protein bars, to be honest. How's it going hand in hand with being fit to eat chocolate? In Brazil. How's the weather in Brazil right now? Because here it's super hot. I probably also already mentioned it like 10,000 times how hot it is. Kind of weird when I connect this line here. Do I have chocolate on my hands now? No, not yet. But Brazil is tall, so? What do you mean with tall? Yeah, sorry for everyone who just joined. Hey, Oyenuga Barbar, thank you for the sub. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? everyone who just joined. Like, I don't have music on today, so feel free to put in your own music. Ah, okay. Makes sense. Which city in Brazil are you from? If I can ask. That's okay. I don't want to get hit by your mom. It's fine. You don't have to, by the way. You don't have to. I was just curious. It's just crazy sometimes. If I think I'm sitting here in my little room in Berlin, in Germany, in the middle of Europe, and then somebody from the other side of the world is watching me how I do stuff. Hey, Acid Dine. Hi, how are you? Glad to catch the stream. Your content helps me a lot. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much. Hey, Aziz Sketch. How are you? How's it going? Welcome to the stream. We started a bit earlier today. An hour earlier, actually. Well, I think 30 minutes earlier, actually. To be overcorrect. To be German. How's everyone? How was your week, folks? Hey, NemoX. Hallo aus diesem Teil der Welt. Hi, hi, hi. Splendid. Yes, I do feel pretty good, actually. It was a good week. Productive. Not too much. Not too overly killing. Not too hot. Done a lot of drawings. Had a lot of students to teach. Yeah, was pretty productive. I actually deserve a weekend. And I don't work tomorrow. Which is surprising, because usually I always work on Saturdays. Okay, let's zoom out here. See how this page is going. So yeah, recently I continued to work on my book, which I wanna finish before a THU event. Which means I have to do like 20 more of these pages here. So then I have enough content for the book done. And then yeah, it's basically just my sketches over the past 1.5 years, or basically yeah, I think so, 1.5 years. I have like 2 thick binders full with all my ink drawings, And it's just gonna be basically my way from starting with these ink drawings, because I don't know if some of you know, like I started with concept art and I started to work professionally as a concept artist, and it's way different from doing this stuff here. And I really fell in love with art again, starting doing this. But I never really know what to do with all these drawings because they just lay around. And I came to the conclusion to make some sort of like it's basically like a printed sketchbook, so to speak. That's kind of like the idea. I don't know how well it goes. I have a test print, which is horrible, which I don't like. But I also made it over a company. Watercolor then? You mean to watercolor those drawings? I don't know. The problem is that the paper isn't watercolor paper. So it's perfect. I love this paper. It's perfect for ink. And you can also use watercolor, but you can't use too much water in itself because it's not made for it. But my problem is that whenever I have watercolor paper, it's very dense. So I have paper that I like, but it's actually toned. It's not that white. So yeah. Maybe I should just get some crayons or something. Everything became stressful to me this month, but after you teaching, I started having fun with art again too. Oh, nice. Wanting to achieve a yeah, it's not easy, right? It's not easy, but it's good if you have like high expectations, and also like if you work on it, you know, like what else do you want to do? That's the important part. Always follow your dream, and always like don't let anything stand in front of that. Live your life the way you want to live it. Most important thing. Should I move the camera a bit over here? I feel like I'm not centered. Could you please show us how to construct the figure in your head with the seating bikini girl? Sure. Okay, so the question is how to... Wait, because I have to make clips. I always make clips out of the stream, and I don't want the AC to be on that clip, so I'm just turning it off for a moment. That's much better. Okay, so the question is how to construct a figure in your head as the example for this bikini girl here, right? Okay, so let's take a look at this. Okay, so if we look at this, it is actually placed very well for us to look at the different masses. So in my head, I start with thinking about... Okay, let me actually put the page next to this here. Okay, I think that should work. Like this. Okay. So in my head, when I want to draw this figure, and I'm thinking about, okay, how can I make sure that this figure is going to be probably in proportion? In my head, I actually start with the ground plane. I think about the place the figure is sitting in. And and that's also the thing I always say in my videos when I give the box as an example. I feel like the box isn't something where you carve out form. For me, it is actually something more like a cage, you know, like a place where something sits inside, right? Whenever you draw, it always helps if you're aware of these dimensions. If you're aware of, okay, there's a top side and there's a bottom side, right? So this already helps to identify in my head where is something sitting or placed. Now, when it comes to the figure, And for example, like the first line is very important. So if I start with a line, let's say like this here, right? This line determines an angle, right? It determines the angle of the head. Now I made it very easy here, or have it very easy, because the head is from the back, so I don't have to draw a face, right? And also I can hide a lot of stuff with the hair. Plus, the mass of the torso is basically blocking the face. So through utilizing the shoulder and this line here, it's kind of like placing some sort of geometry in front, right? Like this here. So that already communicates and follows these dimensions. Now, an important part here in the figure itself is, first of all, this curvature, right? So we have this curvature of the spine, often forgotten. Whenever your figures are stiff, you forget that there's a spine. And then also the bottom part here for the hip is really like whatever it works for you. But when I think about, for example, like when I draw people in clothing, I always look how the clothing sits, because, for example, if I think about like a slip, for example, or a t-shirt, it's way easier for me to draw a hip, because like drawing the shape of a slip is much easier than maybe to perfectly draw in like a hip. And then I already determined the angle of these forms. Then I have to connect them, and obviously there is some sort of rib cage going on here, right? We have an overlap. We can't forget the overlap here. Very, very important. Then the back goes continue. We have the hip here. Then the butt comes out a bit more. We have some flesh. Then very important as well, the arm, right? So whenever you draw figures, it's also for the majority of people I teach in my one-on-one sessions in the mentoring, when they start with figure drawings, they never really consider where stuff is going. But you have to consider where is stuff going inside of this dimension, right? So if this arm is going somewhere, it's not just going down, it also comes at us. And we have to consider that this arm is coming at us. Means there's a super tiny part where it gets foreshortened, and then it also goes away again, right? So it goes away from us, just indicating an elbow. Here again, perfectly hidden face, hidden head by this big torso. So it makes our life easy. Make your life easy when you draw stuff. Why having a hard life? Doesn't make any sense. Then the hardest part here is obviously then figuring out, okay, how can we make the legs? But the good thing is for us, the legs are just cylinders, right? So here also a great example is this like long sock I drew in here. So it's the same thing for a slip. When I draw in or consider something like a sock, like where it's starting, it actually helps me to communicate the volume of it, right? This stuff here. And it's so easy because once you learned how somebody sits on their own legs, you also know how these folds are in between. Then here we need to indicate the calf and the overlap. Then the hardest part is still just how to show the volume of the foot. That's always the hardest part for me, to be honest, because I always mess this up. And then she sits on her feet. Okay. And now we also utilize the backside like this. Here we have the side plane, and then the rest is history, right? The rest we can actually just follow the form. We can draw this in. And you see what I've done here? I cheated, right? I cheated here. Why? Because I added volume lines on the clothing to emphasize the form of it. But actually, I messed up the shape. The shape of the clothing is nice. So what I thought, okay, I'm cheeky sneaky, I'm gonna draw in these volume lines, okay? So this is very important. So always consider your dimensions first, where stuff is happening inside, right? And then when you start with a point, it's an ongoing, perspective is ongoing, folks. It's never ending, okay? I hope that answers your question. Hey Logsback, welcome to the stream. How are you? Hey Nat, how are you? How are you today? Gestalt in the box. Yeah. Crazy breakdown. You're the real MVP. I'm glad I'm helping. I'm glad. I hope it's helpful. I hope it's useful. Obviously, this is stuff you have to practice, but it makes more sense if you take your time to just practice these rough drawings. You know, you don't need to draw the figure from reference like this, or like trying to get to a certain level or a detail level or quality. It makes more sense if you take references and if you break them apart, put the reference away and then try to do it yourself. Because the hardest part is really always these proportional relationships inside of these dimensions. I'm doing good. Translating everything. You're the best. You're the best. Does repetition make improvement? I was thinking what I kept repeating the same mistake without awareness. That's a great question. What happens if we repeat the same mistakes over and over? Well, I think there's a fine line of programming certain patterns and behaviors inside of your head. So for example, what I sometimes see in figures when I draw over them, that if a student, for example, has an overlap in a figure, right? So for example, if we have an overlap with a hip and a midsection, sometimes they unconsciously reverse the overlap so it looks wrong. And then they kind of like program that in their head. That is actually dangerous. So for that, it's good if you have somebody who can look over the stuff from time to time. Or it could be even like somebody who's not an artist, because a person who sees people every day sees if something is wrong or something is off. And I would always say, if you ask somebody, go to somebody that is really direct, but you also trust, right? Because it's also something where you make yourself very vulnerable. How to avoid your mistakes, again, is by maybe finding a teacher, finding a mentor, or finding somebody who can help you to also look over the stuff. Also, one tip by yourself, if you don't have any of these, document yourself. If you can, record yourself drawing, look at the recording. Look at your reference or what you draw, and look how you draw it, how you make the strokes, how you make decision making, and so on and so on. Turn the page 100 and look it in the mirror. Yeah, you can also put a mirror in front to see mistakes, but the problem is, for example, if you draw a character out of your imagination, like you maybe see perspective problems, but you don't see, for example, design problems or shape problems. You know, that's also part of it. Okay, so let me put on the AC because it's already warm again. Until the next question comes. I think if I leave the page like this. What do you guys think, guys and girls? Because sometimes I don't like to put too much stuff into these pages. I like if they have some sort of clean look. You know what? I just leave it for now, and we can just move on. And then let's see. Let's see what comes next. How about we crank something into the sketchbook page so I can finish the sketchbook page? I never know when this stuff is done. What? Is there a great opportunity for junior artists in this industry? Yes, there's always opportunities. So I was just, when was it? Yesterday on LinkedIn, and there's so many studios again looking for artists. I think that there is really still the big misconception that it's not possible to get in. Obviously, that's always the part of this industry, is that the quality level we have to bring to the table always goes a bit every year, you know. But even with AI and even with all the stuff, I think the important part is still that you have really solid base skills, because no matter what, if they hire you and say like, utilize our company AI and make this work, you still need to know like how to paint, how to organize compositions, how to make sure that something looks good also in the final stage. So even if all these jobs are changing, it's still important to have these really solid base skills. So there's always opportunity if you're good enough and if you present yourself in the right way. Absolutely, I'm pretty sure. How do you balance practicing fundamentals and doing your personal art? That is a really good question. So I utilize schedules. Like I made myself a schedule, like a drawing schedule, and it's basically split in 3 categories. One is technical, one is subject, and one is creative. So every day I try to spend an hour for any technical thing that I want to learn, where I challenge myself. So trying to paint something in watercolor, trying to paint something in acrylic, like something new, even digital. And then also one subject that I want to study every day to fill my brain with new information, my visual library. And then the creative task is actually to have some sort of application of that, because I want to utilize the gained knowledge to put into something where I have to be creative, because it's also part of doing that. So I don't know, like for example, this here, I drew this guy in the subway, not in the train. I drew this guy in the train, And the rest I drew from imagination. But it was also a process because I didn't draw everything at once. I basically added like a figure each day, and then I also drew the background on another day. So I always spent a little bit of a time chunk to add something to it. So I think it's important that you give yourself kind of like a minimum amount of time when it comes to 1 to 3 hours per day. And then also, rather than have some sort of streak, like try to do that every day rather than just draw a lot for one day and then just drawing nothing, because the hardest part is keeping up the habit and keeping up the routine and the rhythm of continuous of drawing and practicing. So that is kind of like the best thing. And when it comes to balance, the balancing act of fundamentals to personal work, I think the best balance is to really get good with fundamentals and use the fundamentals, the new gained knowledge of the fundamentals, to make personal work, to utilize it in personal work. That's the area where you learn the most. To say it in a more shorter way. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, it's you wish you wish this to be 50-50, but sometimes it doesn't need to be 50-50, right? It can also be 60-40, 70-30. Sometimes it's maybe, I don't know, 80-20. $99.01. I hope not. 99 personal work. I mean, yeah, maybe the goal is to do only personal work, only personal work and no fundamental training more. But I think there's always some sort of training inside of that, What do you think about Mark Bruni's strategy of practicing when you hit a wall in your personal work? Sounds reasoning. Why not? So, I mean, that's basically the same. It's kind of like making a study in your personal work whenever. But the problem is that for beginners, this doesn't really work because they have too many walls they hit. So they hit constantly walls, so everything is stressing them out, so they need some sort of base structure, and they need some sort of routine to just get like ground level. That is important, because you can't say to a beginner, just make illustrations, just make illustrations and just paint and draw, do cool stuff. And then they, and whenever I have problem, I'm going to study. Yeah, okay, it makes sense. But then they have no clue on how to make a composition, how to make a layout, how to tell a story, how to put elements into a frame, how to make thumbnailing, how to light properly in a thumbnail, how to bring a thumbnail to a better painting, how to have edge control, how to push an image until it's finished. Like, all these are walls they're hitting. And they're stunning themselves. Like, how are they able to do that? Doesn't make sense. So yes and no, I would say. It can work for some people. Best case scenario. But you have to get there first. It was really good to be here. I learned a lot. I have to go back to work. Is it live every Friday? Yes, it's every Friday. I'm glad you were here. Thank you so much. Obrigado. Or obrigada, I don't know. But thank you so much. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. Adiluk. Bye bye. Ah, you guys don't see? Oh, shit. How to pronounce? No problem. It's Janos. The name, like, it's Hungarian, and the S is like sh, so it's Janos. No problem. I mean, like, all my life my teachers said my name wrong, so it's fine. I'm not mad. Can't be mad about that. Likewise. Thanks for being here, Aziz. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
people telling me that oh. Okay, we have another question. Did you ever have the problem with where you shy about showing others your art, or do you have to get used to this with YouTube? Okay, so the question is if I ever had a problem to show my drawings. I would say so. Yes, I would say that I'm still struggling with having the confidence of showing my drawings and also being behind my own work, I would say. Because the thing is, when I started my own art journey, my goal in the beginning was to become an artist who works a service job as a concept artist. So it was a relatively straight line that I had to go. It was kind of like this, okay, a concept artist is getting paid for coming up with ideas, making iterations, and concepting, so solving problems. Also, depending on where you work, what pipeline you work, there's also a level of quality, a different level of quality. Most cases, concept work isn't that polished, and the stuff you usually see, which is in these art books from bigger projects, is stuff that either way people had the time to make really polished, or people were super good and had the time to push it in the exact same time, or they worked afterwards over it. So usually concept work isn't that high polished in most cases, depending on what is the deadline and the product. So that being said, that I was always okay with doing concepts to the deadline, because for me it was always important, is the problem solved and is everything clear and communicated? As long as that was, I was fine, and I was fine with showing that. But when it comes to my personal work, when it comes to my personal drawings, when it comes to even character designs or anything that I made personalized, I was always super shy about it, because I'm my own worst critic all the time. And usually I would say that's kind of like a good thing. It's kind of like a good thing to get better. But the problem is if that takes overhand. So if you judging yourself already while making the work, that is actually bad, because when you do the work, you want to be only the creative person, only the artist, only the person who has the saying in here of being the creative manager, so to speak, saying like, okay, we're going to draw this now, and we're going to go with the flow, and we're going to take our emotions and put something into the work. But you don't want to be the manager, your own content manager, of like, while you draw, asking yourself, oh, is this good? Can I make content out of this? Can I put it on Instagram? Can I make it on YouTube? Can I make a video out of it? I had this problem many years. I'm doing YouTube for, I think, 6 or 7 years now. So it's really hard to not having these two voices having a conversation while making art. So this is also something I had to untrain myself, or I still have sometimes. I have to tell the other voice, like, shut up, it's not your time right now. Now it's artist time. Now the artist has the saying. As weird as this sounds. So yeah, and that's kind of thing. And still, if you would tell me I have a drawing show in a week where I have to draw, or where I show my drawings, I still today would be shy about showing my drawings. And you can tell me 1,000 times how good these drawings are, or you like these drawings, you love these drawings, they motivate you. This is all great, and I love to hear that, but it's still weird for me, you know. And I don't know if I never ever I get this out of me, but I'm working actively on it to stand more behind my own drawings, and I think everybody should do. Everybody should try to stand behind their own work, because it has to do with your identity as an artist. And as an artist, you need to have an identity, you know, and you need to know who you are. You need to know what's your values, what are the things that you're interested in, and what do you stand behind. I'm asking because I could never have people watching me draw. This seems absolutely brutal, but you look super confident doing it. I mean, you don't know what happens down here. I'm sweating the whole time because of stress. No, you get used to it. I want to say, whenever I start a stream, after, I don't know, how many videos have we done? 500? I don't know how many streams we had in the past. I'm still a bit nervous all the time, but I'm also excited, you know, and because I'm looking forward to talk with you guys on stream, like people who are following for years and bought my drawings, and people I taught as mentees for years, like all these people that come back. It feels so amazing. I feel so blessed by this. So I'm also always excited to put on the stream. And I also had streams where I sucked. Like I had a bad day where I was like drawing so bad, like for the whole day, everything was horrible. And then the stream was horrible because I was stressing myself out and everything was that. But those streams are not existing on YouTube anymore. I just deleted, forgotten. I mean, maybe still there are, but yeah. It's just this thing. You get used to it. If you ever want to do it, you have to start and you have to get used to it. I'm not talking about UNet. Funny how our thoughts are so similar and yet our art is so different. I don't know. What can I tell? Can't tell. It's funny, every time I put on the AC, the camera's flackering. It takes so much electricity, this thing. The thing I can't tell because I don't see enough of your art. You have to share more. And I'm not talking about your job, Nat. I'm not talking about the comic book work. I'm talking about your work. Yeah. You know, I'm a stabby motherfucker. Snitches get stitches. Stab you with a Wacom pen. Here. In the eye. In the heart. Oh no, I forgot you're pregnant. Sorry, I don't wanna play with your emotions. I apologize. Please don't get mad. Hey Gallup, thank you for the sub. Welcome to the stream. Appreciate it. I'm glad. I remind you next time. Hi to all the new people. Don't be afraid to say hi. I don't bite. I think we are like what do we are? 25 people in total. But you can also just chill and draw. Turn on your own music, and I hope the AC in the back is not too loud. Apologize if it's too much. It's just so warm in here. And so do we draw ourselves after years of self-neglecting? I think if you just draw yourself the way you see yourself, it will be interesting. But the question is why? Like, well, what do you expect coming out of it? You know, like whenever I draw myself like Gollum, or like a golem or something. But I think it's the most interesting way to draw yourself as the way you see it, because it's probably so different from how other people see it. Wow. You call your inner, yeah, okay, Nat. But I think, to be fair, I think a lot of people call their inner critic Gollum, you know, because I think Gollum was probably the superstar of the 2000s, you know, and still is. Oh, 1 sec, I have to reply to a message. What's that? Streaming. Okay, quick toilet break. Be right back, folks. Be right back. Oh, dang it! Where's my shoe? What did I miss? Hey Chris, what's up? Hey Joseph, what's up? Are you using any reference? I always use reference for everything. The ones I saved in my head, and the ones I saved on Pinterest, and the ones I saved on my hard drive. You should use reference. This is the only way to get your drawing to a level where it potentially could be something that you like. Do you need shoes to pee? Yes, I need shoes to pee. I can't pee without shoes. It's a tick, you know. I have camel boots. I can't pee without my camel boots. Oh, glorious, glorious. Yeah. Yes, of course. Yeah, I also sure. I also wear high heels when I go to toilet. High heels. Oh, how tall am I with high heels? Aren't they like super long or something? They probably break under my weight. Also, I have like shoe size 47. I don't know if they make any high heels in that size. I rather stick to my camel boots. I leave that for the other boys. Oh, I just moved this. My bad. I stepped out of a moment and that has a conversation turned into. Yeah. This is why you should never leave the stream. I could walk around barefoot. Oh yeah, your feet must be swollen, right? Full with water, perfect. Life of a pregnant woman, I guess. Pregnant woman. Sorry, my English is so bad today. No baby bump yet? Ah, okay. Good things take time, right? Only by fat. Well, I can do that too. It's necessary. It's a necessary fat. my wife give birth, then let's just push her belly downwards. What? Oh, sorry. I completely forgot that you guys are here. Oh, sorry, was that a question for me? Or did you ask Nat? Both answers would be cool. Yes. I did. Any lunch? No, any dinner plans, folks? I need some ideas for dinner. Not sure what I'm gonna eat tonight. My lunch was kinda low quality. I think I still have some marinated chicken at home. Worst case scenario. Sommerrollen. Sommerrollen? Oh nee, gar keinen Bock drauf. Also meine Freundin macht super Sommerrollen, aber gerade gar keinen Bock drauf. Alfredo Pasta. That's a nice... Yeah, Alfredo Pasta. I think I like that. I think pasta is good. I haven't had pasta for a while. Oh my god. Sorry. I think the worst thing you can do on a stream is yawning. Apologies, but I'm here for kind of like 10 hours now. So, eyes are cooked, brain are cooked, everything is cooked. Janusz pronouncing Alfredo pasta is fucking hilarious. I just wait for the day. Oh, just wait for the day where you say something wrong. Gonna make so much fun of you. When brain is cooked, time to cook. Yeah, I'm actually hoping that my girlfriend is cooking, but I can't expect that. She also worked all day. At least I speak 3 languages, but we don't know how good you speak them, you know? I could also say I speak languages that you don't know. Like, how do you want to figure out if I say the correct word? This microphone. Only 13% are triangular. Are trilingual. You see, I even can't speak English properly. And oh, sorry guys. I haven't read the chat for at least the last 30 minutes. There's like conversation going on. Drawing a street right now. Any name suggestion for anyone for a fictional fashion brand that sounds somewhat urban and might look cool on a big neon sign on a building? Bricks. BRICKS. The cast shadow from that hat conveys facial volume. Why did I never think of this? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm just drawing on cardboard. It's the most random ass stuff I can do here. This was in a package of some older books I ordered. It's literally like here, this is half broken. And in my lunch break I just started drawing on it with an old pen. This thing here. It's already dry. Janosch, you won't put cast shadows in the eye. No, because sometimes just for yes, sometimes I would do it, but usually I do not, because then the eyes come out of the shadows, you know. Like it really depends on like if I wanted to. If I want this to be hidden or not, or if I want the eyes to be strong, basically. But good observation. Good observation. If there's a painting that would melt it, yeah. Correct. Are there shadows within shadows? Yes, you can have ambient occlusion shadows inside of a cast shadow. That's why you need to learn the Big Seven. Always preaching this. It makes so much stuff logical in a logical sense. Uh, Janusz, if I don't know which fundamental to study first, which one would it be? Always perspective. Always perspective. 90% of the people I have problem with. Sorry. The majority of people have problem with perspective. It's always perspective. I was sitting here all day again. Man. And when do you go to the next one? The thing is, with perspective, it doesn't stop, you know? Like, I think it's not really something where you put like, you know, like a check and then like, okay, it's done. Also, if you don't study anatomy for a while, your figures start to suck, in my opinion. Like if you don't draw figures for a while. I had this in production when I was working in environments a lot. And then I would go back to characters, my figures will always suck. There are 7, but I only remember 6. Core Shadow, Terminator, Cast Shadow, Ambient Occlusion, Bounce Light, Highlight, Midtones. Or local value, whatever you want to call it. What made you quit your profession? What do you mean? Is it a question for me? I didn't quit my profession. Or did I had a profession before I tried to become a concept artist? No. I studied management before, so. But I was studying, so I didn't really quit anything. I mean, I was playing full-time football, but it also, like, I wouldn't say that it was my job. At a studio job. Ah, okay. Why I left the studio? I mean, I left the studio because I started when I was working in the studio, in a game studio, for already a year. I started with YouTube, and I continued doing YouTube. And I think the first year I made like how many videos I made? I think first month 1 video, then 2 videos a month, then more. I think I maybe roughly did 50 videos in the first year of doing YouTube. And I had like, I don't know, 1,000 subscribers. It took me a year to get 1,000 subscribers. And then in the next year, I think I had 5. And then the next year I had 10. And when COVID came, I basically got busier and busier because I had more people also being interested in learning and coming into my mentorship. And to a point where I was like, had 2 jobs, same level of complexity. So 40 plus hours there and like 60 hours on building my business, basically. So I had like 100 hours a week. I was just working Monday to Sunday. And I've done that for 2 years, and then I couldn't do it anymore. So, and I had to decide, do I want to be my own boss and do some freelance work here and there and do some concept here, but also do my own stuff in my own pace? Or do I want to stick with the studio? And I love the studio. I love the people, love the place. It was a great time. And if I wouldn't had YouTube and this other opportunity, I still would be there probably. Because I really enjoyed the work. Like I just enjoyed it. So it's still like best job in the world, in my opinion. And I also knew like there's nothing to lose. Like if I leave the studio, only to gain. Because biggest misconception, in my opinion, people think they are secure when they employed. It's the biggest bullshit in my opinion. Because you can always get fired wherever you are. If there's somebody in high ups decide that they're gonna close down the company for whatever reason, they're gonna do it no matter what. They don't care what you say. But you know that you can always count on you. You can always count on what you can do. So you can always know that the time you put in and the effort you put in, you can only gain from it. So yeah, you are your biggest rock. And I knew that, I mean, I had already something running, right? So the time where others would just, they would do their job and they take their time in the free time and do whatever. Like in that time, I made videos. In that time, I built a website. In that time, I taught people. In that time, I've done so many extra stuff over years, you know? And it took 4 years or 5 years. I was in this company for 5 years almost. Or 4 years? I don't remember. 4 or 5 years. So, I mean, the thing is like, of course you can go if you want to stay in employment and you want to do that, like you can do both. It just costs you more energy. And going out and doing your own thing is a risk, of course, but you have to decide if you want to take that risk or not. I saw so much more from the world. I traveled so much. I worked with so much amazing people. I had so much amazing projects. I spent so much time producing my own art, the art I want. I only gained from that decision, you know? But it's also easy for me to say to anyone else because not everybody is the same. Not everybody has the confidence. Not everybody has the courage to do it. Not everybody has something they can build. Because in the beginning for me it was just YouTube, it was just doing videos, you know? It isn't like I invented something or something. It was just me ongoing. So some employees wouldn't even allow you to freelance on the side. It's insane. Yeah, but that's normal. But this is also this is normal, especially in the game industry because of the competition, right? So you can't work for competitors, but I feel like that's kind of okay. That's kind of like understandable. But I remember from my company time, whenever I had somebody asking me for gigs or anything, and if I would go to my employee, to my boss basically, and ask me like, hey, I'm gonna doing this illustration for XYZ, they would check if that's okay, and then it would be okay. Like, it's not a big deal, you know? I mean, of course, it depends on the company. But in most cases, they would say, like, if you can handle it, you can do it. You know? I remember a time when I had to tell my company how much time I spent on my side work, like my YouTube stuff, for example. I had to tell them. So, but it's open, honest communication, you know? I mean, I also want to say that I'm still extremally blessed and I extremely appreciate the situation I'm in. But I also want to say that if I would sit on my ass the 4 years and play video games all day after work, I would be sitting on the same ass, you know? So in German, we have a saying, von nichts kommt nichts. It's basically, if you don't do shit, you won't gain anything. So, and that's just the thing. Like, and it can be as small as just investing 30 minutes of your day into something you're interested in. You know, not everything has to be a business, by the way, right? You can just have fun doing stuff, right? I love to play volleyball. My third mission is not to become a professional volleyball player. You know, doesn't make any sense. So I think it's also like, yeah. By the way, we have 2 mentorship slots open for begin August. So if anyone is interested in learning over summer, the only thing which is closed is the elite mentorship. It's full. But basic, intensive, and I'm not sure if we have 1 mini slot open. But if you're interested in, feel free to check out the website, link below, and fill out the intro chat. This stuff goes directly to me. So, hey, I can actually shade with this now since it's so dry. This is nice. Isn't hard to not isolate yourself when you're independent? It is hard. Yeah. That's true. It is hard to have the tendency to isolate yourself too much, especially if you're alone by yourself. But I think you can equally also have I have friends I talk over Discord. I have all my students also I have creatives in the next room who playing, producing music every day. So I'm not fully isolated, but sometimes it feels a bit isolated in itself. But for me, it's okay. I like to be by myself. I'm weird anyway, so, but I can be with my own thoughts. I know that a lot of people can't do that. But I think it's healthy to be able to be with your own thoughts. Sometimes I'm just here by myself, dancing to Jamiroquai or something. I don't know. Then I eat something, I read something, I draw something, make a video, then I go home. I sometimes have to think about I think Kim Young-ji said in a stream that sometimes he watched movies when he was in the studio, that he didn't draw but he was watching movies. I love that when he said that. That you think he drew so much, such a master, and then he says yeah, sometimes I'm watching Netflix. But he probably also drew while I was watching Netflix. Peace is a luxury for those who seek it. True word. Okay, my lovely friends who've been here the whole time. That was our Friday stream. You guys know I never do much more than 2 hours, because it's also always the end of my week. But I'm glad that all of you spent time being here. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you all. So for everyone who's also watching this later, I hope you can find your way through this tough time of figuring out what artist you want to be, what you want to do with your life, and just follow the things you like and focus on the things you want to do. That's really important. And if you need any help, go find me and ask and reach out. And otherwise, make sure to like and subscribe. And I wish you a wonderful weekend and see you next week on the next Friday stream. Much love goes out. Peace. Bye-bye. 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 Have a good one. Take care. Ciao, ciao. Ciao, ciao. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.